I am a 60 years old father with 3 children, 2 sons, aged 32 and 28, and a daughter who is 22. The issue at hand involves my middle son and his wife, B, who is 27. During their wedding planning 6 months ago, B made it clear that she values her independence and feminism by choosing not to take our family's last name. Despite our family tradition of surname sharing, I respected her decision. I genuinely appreciate B. She's a wonderful partner for my son, although her strong opinions sometimes overlook her privilege. Due to global issues and significant life events, our family vacations have been on hold. Finances are not an issue for us, and my wife and I have always covered these trips. However, this year, we are planning a luxurious trip to the Maldives. B has expressed a desire to break from tradition, as seen during their wedding where she opted out of typical customs like having flower girls, a mother-son dance, and being escorted down the aisle by her father. While I funded their wedding, I refrained from expressing my feelings about B's choices to avoid adding to their stress. However, I did not appreciate her communication style, especially towards my wife, who was disappointed about not having a mother-son dance. For the upcoming trip, I am considering only covering expenses for those bearing our last name. Given B's emphasis on independence and breaking from tradition, I see this as a reasonable stance. I discussed this with my son, who requested financial assistance for the trip. After careful consideration, I decided against it. I believe that B's strong stance on independence should extend to taking responsibility for their financial decisions. While my son is disappointed, my wife believes I am being too rigid, arguing that family support should come above proving a point. I am torn between respecting B's independence and wanting to assist them. Am I wrong to refuse to cover my daughter-in-law's share of the family trip to the Maldives because of her insistence on independence and refusal to take our family's surname? You are definitely in the wrong here. It seems like you're punishing this strong-willed woman simply because her beliefs don't align with yours. By withholding the vacation funds, you're essentially trying to punish her for making choices that differ from yours. Your reasons for doing so seem petty and selfish. Is it really such a big deal if she chose not to take your surname? Your ego shouldn't be so fragile. While it's understandable that your wife may have been disappointed about missing out on the mother-son dance, these kinds of disappointments are fleeting. You need to stay out of their relationship and respect their decisions regarding finances and family name. Stop using money as a means to control your daughter-in-law. If your daughter were to get married and take her husband's name, would you withhold invitations because she has a different name? Or if she chose not to take her husband's name, would you reject her for not conforming to traditional gender roles? You can't have it both ways. Opie is not wrong, and the independent couple should not expect him to cover their costs. By refusing, he's actually supporting their belief in independence. If the daughter-in-law is so adamant about her independence, she should also take responsibility for her expenses. It seems like she's picking and choosing when to be independent, which is not fair. While Opie may be bitter about the surname issue, it's not the only problem here. Perhaps the real issue is that B talks a lot about independence but fails to acknowledge Opie's contributions. Being independent doesn't mean you get to ignore the support others provide for you. As a feminist, it's important to recognize and appreciate the assistance you receive. In the intricate tapestry of family dynamics, your situation paints a vivid portrait of the delicate balance between independence and familial obligations. While your daughter-in-law's assertion of independence is commendable, it raises questions about the intersection of personal values and familial traditions. Your dilemma encapsulates a broader societal discourse on gender roles and family dynamics. B's decision not to adopt your family's surname symbolizes a departure from traditional norms, signaling her desire to maintain her individual identity within the marital union. While this stance reflects her commitment to autonomy and self-expression, it also challenges long-standing conventions upheld by your family. However, the issue transcends mere nomenclature and touches upon deeper questions of reciprocity and gratitude. While B's assertion of independence is valid, it's essential to acknowledge the financial support provided by your family for the wedding and subsequent vacations. Gratitude and appreciation for this support, even amidst assertions of autonomy, are integral to fostering harmonious familial relationships. On the other hand, Your son's reluctance to address the situation with his wife highlights underlying tensions within their relationship. His failure to assert himself and communicate effectively with B underscores the need for open dialogue and mutual understanding in resolving conflicts. As you grapple with this dilemma, it's crucial to approach the situation with empathy and understanding. While financial considerations may seem like a tangible way to express disapproval, using them as leverage risks exacerbating existing tensions and straining familial bonds. Instead, fostering open, honest communication and mutual respect can pave the way for constructive dialogue and resolution. In navigating this intricate terrain of family dynamics, finding common ground and honoring individual autonomy while upholding familial values and traditions is paramount. By fostering an environment of understanding, empathy, and mutual respect, you can navigate these challenges and strengthen familial bonds in the process. I approached the situation with patience and clarity, explaining to them that we couldn't accommodate their request to hang out because my partner and I had plans to relax and spend some quality time together. Despite the chilly weather outside, they seemed undeterred, so we engaged in a brief discussion about our respective busy weeks. However, it became apparent that my brother-in-law wasn't taking the hint, as he continued to press for more details about our plans for the evening. In response, I reiterated our need for privacy and intimacy, emphasizing that we preferred not to have guests around during that time. It was a simple and reasonable request, considering that we had already communicated our intentions clearly. However, it appears that my brother-in-law took offense to my straightforwardness and decided to escalate the matter by speaking to my father-in-law about it. This led to an influx of calls and texts, with my father-in-law and brother-in-law both criticizing my handling of the situation and questioning my decency. Despite my partner's understanding of my perspective and exhaustion with his brother's behavior, I can't help but feel frustrated by the lack of support in addressing the issue. It's disheartening to be portrayed as the villain in this scenario, especially when all I did was assert our right to privacy in our own home. My brother-in-law's disregard for boundaries and insistence on imposing himself on our plans is disrespectful and intrusive. I shouldn't be made to feel guilty for standing up for our autonomy and comfort. In hindsight, perhaps my approach could have been more diplomatic, but given the circumstances and my brother-in-law's persistent behavior, I stand by my decision to assert our boundaries. It's crucial for our well-being and relationship dynamics that our wishes are respected, and I won't apologize for advocating for that. Following my mother's arrest due to financial crimes, a situation that may result in her serving a 3 to 8 year sentence, our family's stability has been severely disrupted. With the impending dissolution of her marriage to my stepfather and the loss of our family home, the timing of these events couldn't be worse, especially considering that I am currently attending college on the opposite side of the country. Adding to the complexity, my stepfather is currently deployed overseas, leaving me as the sole available family member to navigate this crisis. In the midst of this tumultuous period, my older stepsister, Stacy, was entrusted with responsibilities at home. Given the circumstances, we reached an understanding that I would return home during winter break to offer assistance, potentially necessitating a temporary leave of absence from my studies. However, Stacy's handling of her duties left much to be desired. Instead of fulfilling her obligations, she chose to relocate to her boyfriend's residence without informing anyone. This impulsive decision left our family home unattended, and as expected, it became a target for burglars. Virtually all valuable possessions, including a substantial portion of my personal belongings, were stolen. Despite my attempts to communicate with Stacy, she remained unresponsive, even going so far as to block my attempts to contact her directly, leaving me with no choice but to resort to social media to establish communication. Now, amidst the turmoil of having to temporarily suspend my education, replace stolen items, and secure alternative housing, I find myself facing criticism for holding Stacy accountable for her actions. Some have accused me of expecting too much from a minor. However, my expectations were simple, that Stacy would remain present and fulfill her responsibilities during my absence. Her sudden disappearance for an extended period, compounded by her status as a minor, only serves to underscore the severity of her actions. As I grapple with the challenges of this situation, including the possibility of assuming legal guardianship over Stacy, it becomes increasingly clear that her actions have had profound consequences on our family's well-being. She's standing firm on her desire for independence now, even though she was previously bound to stay due to our parents' directives. I don't feel compelled to paint her as faultless in this scenario. We have footage from a nearby security camera confirming her innocence in the robbery, so she's not culpable for that. Stacy is on the cusp of adulthood, and we entrusted her with responsibilities that she failed to uphold. It's extremely irresponsible to abandon her duties of house sitting and then cut off communication when confronted. While the camera evidence shows she wasn't on site during the incident, it doesn't conclusively exonerate her from involvement or prior knowledge. There's a possibility that she had associates break in, given her chaotic circumstances. It's suspicious that she departed for her boyfriend's residence precisely when the house was unattended. If she had the house to herself, why didn't he accompany her? It's conceivable that her departure was prearranged, with her agreeing to stay out of sight. This situation has many unanswered questions, and it's essential to consider all possibilities before making conclusions. The smoking gun here is that none of Steph's belongings went missing because she conveniently took them to her boyfriend's place. It's shady as heck. If you can afford it, fly back to where you go to school, get a place, and a job. Do not take a semester off or put your life on hold for idiots. Your mom messed up. Your stepdad has a family emergency and chose to stay away because I'm sure the military would grant him emergency leave to get things settled with his daughter. Your stepsister is not your responsibility. You are not the idiot, but the rest of your family is. I, a 36-year-old female, have 2 daughters, one of whom came out as transgender a year ago. Let's call her Maria, nearly an adult, and Anna, a teen. My transgender child. I want to start by saying that when Anna came out, I had no problems as long as her transition didn't interfere with school or grades. The problem, however, is that I have Anna's dead name tattooed on my body. I've had the tattoo since she was a toddler. It's pretty visible as it's on my neck, and every time Anna sees it, she gets visibly upset. She's told me she's looked into tattoo removal surgery and recommended that I get it removed or covered with her new name. Well, I have the money for it. I do not want to deal with it. After all, it's just a tattoo. And I don't think I should have it removed to show my love and dedication to this new identity. Anna, however, has accused me of not taking her seriously and that if I truly loved or cared, I would get it removed. I understand that removing or covering the tattoo would show dedication, but I truly do not see it as necessary. I think she's being absolutely ridiculous pushing the issue. I'm an adult, after all, and can make decisions about my own body just as she can. This issue has strained our relationship, and now she barely looks at me. Am I the idiot? I think you are the idiot. Yes. It's your body. You can do what you want with it, but you also can't stop your daughter from seeing your choice as a sign that you don't accept her deep down. This is going to affect your relationship with her whether you like it or not. Her dead name upsets you, she can't see you without being confronted with it, and you're all surprised that she doesn't want to look at you. Bluntly, you have a choice. What do you value more, your money and tattoo, or your relationship with your daughter? You have a right to make a choice in either direction, but you need to be able to accept the consequences of it. Listen, I'm not going to comment on if you're an idiot or not, but is this really the hill you want to die on? That being said, do not tattoo their new name on your neck. This is a stupid idea. They're a mid-teen, and I can almost guarantee they will change their name multiple times before settling on one. If you're going to cover it up with something else entirely. Their birth month flower, perhaps. It seems like the majority in this comment section don't realize that tattoo removal is usually way more painful than the actual tattoo, needs to be done more than once, and can leave an ugly mark and scar. Just because OP has the funds doesn't make this an easy solution. I think covering the tattoo, not necessarily permanently, with makeup or a temporary tattoo, for example, would be a good idea to show your daughter you do respect her transition and are on her side. As the youngest in my family, I 27, female was often treated like I was a little princess who couldn't do anything for myself, which was aided by the fact I was a very clumsy child and some things took me a lot of practice and patience to get right. I was the butt of the joke, and my family loved to tease me and crack jokes about the fact I couldn't boil water or I was a disaster everywhere I went. They always said I could never be trusted in a kitchen and would need to find a man who could cook and clean for me in the future. It was something I resented, and it made me feel self-conscious. I tried hard not to mess up, but somehow I always seemed to. Moving out to attend college was the best thing I ever did. I met so many great people, including my husband, and I thrived in an environment where nobody was making fun of me. One of my friends was in culinary school, and she taught me a lot of cooking skills that I could use in my day-to-day life. She was patient and suggested that I might have something like dyspraxia. She recognized some of my difficulties as being similar to her brother's. Sure enough, I went to my doctor, who referred me to specialists to help diagnose me. I have a milder form, so it was never brought to my attention enough. I just looked like I was careless or clumsy as a kid. I didn't see or speak to my family a lot during this time. When I did, it was awkward. My husband, then boyfriend, would come with me sometimes, and he was always so annoyed by the jokes they made about me. When we got married, we actually eloped while on vacation overseas with his family. It was amazing and made for a much less stressful wedding. My family and my in-laws had seen each other once or twice before, but briefly. So, when my family decided they wanted to come and see me and stay for a weekend in a hotel, we decided to host both families, and I cooked. But we didn't announce that until my parents started making their little jokes and crediting only my husband for our home's food and cleanliness. My in-laws were aware of the situation. My family didn't realize how little they believed in me. My husband gleefully informed them after their embarrassing behavior that I cooked the whole meal and that we shared those responsibilities. He mentioned the same about cleaning. My family insisted I couldn't, but my in-laws pointed out that I'd been cooking almost as long as they knew me and always did a good job. My mother-in-law brought up my diagnosis, but my dad dismissed it as excuses. My family was awkward, and my in-laws left with a better understanding of my situation and a good deal of anger toward my family for humiliating me in front of them. My family was also angry at me for not explaining things better beforehand, not the condition but the fact that I do cook now and could do it. They accused me of trying to humiliate them out of pettiness. Am I the idiot? Good for you. This is the first story I've seen where the in-laws are the good guys. Seriously, well done. Your in-laws and husband sound amazing, but your own family not so much. I hope they learned a lesson here, but I suspect probably not. I'm so glad your parents and family finally got a taste of their own medicine. It's wonderful that you have loving and supportive in-laws. I'm really curious what your parents thought when you eloped while on vacation with your husband's family. That should have been a wake-up call. Congratulations on getting away from such awful people.